G'day and welcome to Mackenzie Creek, where it's an ideal day for spraying. Now, a good day for me is one that is not too hot. Now 45 degrees, which is the sort of temperature we can get at Mackenzie Creek, is not a good day for spraying. On the other hand, cold days are no good. Cold days often bring humidity or even rain. Now, either of those things, i.e. moisture, can create blooming on your work, blooming on the lacquer, and that's no good, obviously. There's just a little bit of sun poking through some clouds. Well, actually it's full on at the moment, but there's also a little bit of breeze, and I like a little bit of breeze. It helps to dry the lacquer a little bit quicker. Now, I've already done a video on some of the basic techniques that I employ to spray my work, but the idea of this video is to just show you some of the aids that I use to hold the work. Now, when you are holding your work, well, you obviously can't hold it in your hand, or else you end up spraying your hand. So you often need something else to help hold the work so that you can in fact spray it, and that's the idea of this video. Now, you may have noticed these ironing boards. I use them for holding the work or supporting the work. Absolutely ideal. Not only do they have a mesh underneath them like this, which means that there's not a lot of back spray, but they also are adjustable in height. So if you are making or spraying some bigger work, you can drop the height of these ironing boards down and spray at a convenient height. I've got two ironing boards. There's one over here, and that just tends to hold the work once I've sprayed it. And this one here, as you can see, is used often for spray because there's a lot of build-up of lacquer on the mesh of the ironing board itself. Now, just here is my Lazy Susan, and you can see that spins around, and sitting on top of the Lazy Susan is a little bit of a rack that I have made up using old bandsaw blades, and I use this to support bowls. So I sit the bowls on there, and it means that any lacquer that ends up on the surface itself doesn't then get deposited, if it's not dry, onto the bowl when I flip it over, for instance. Quite a simple little project to make, because these bandsaw blades were just inserted in grooves that I made that I cut on a table saw, and the bandsaw blades themselves were just bent in several places so that they were just a little bit wider in effect to go into the grooves, and I just slotted them in, so they're just sitting in there, they're not glued in there at all. Now, I made mention before of the issue of holding your work while you're actually spraying it, and basically you can't hold it with your hands, or it's very difficult often to hold it with your hands, because you'll end up perhaps spraying your hand, or you'll end up perhaps your fingers getting in the way of where you actually want to spray. So you need to develop means by which you can actually hold your work, and some pieces are just a little difficult to hold, so you need to devise those methods. Now, one of my specialties is making pepper grinders, so what I've done is to make up a number of these which fit up inside the pepper grinder. Now, this is about 25 mil, perhaps just a little bit less, but it's also tapered, so it gets wider, and we've obviously got a 25 mil hole down the middle of our grinder. So I can slot that up there like so, and that way I can hold the pepper grinder. I can even put it like there, like so, spray the bottom of it first, leave that to dry, flip it around, put it like so, and all I need to do is put it on this nail, support it onto this piece of wood, and off I go. On the Lazy Now this style of wedge is something that I use quite a lot, because a lot of things I do end up spraying have got holes down the middle of them, whether it be the pepper grinders that I showed you earlier on, whether it be the recorders that I make. So I've got a wedge here with a big base on there, so that once I've sprayed it, I can put it onto a table and it's nice and steady. Little one for for cheese knives or other sorts of knives, pate knives, etc. Enough length on here so that when you are spraying the knife handle, you can get your fingers out of the way. However, one thing that did present some issues for me, present some spraying problems for me, is these little things. Now, I do these for a friend of mine. They are, as you can see, like wheels, I suppose, but they have some clocks inserted into this hole here. Now the way I was doing it was spraying one side, letting that dry, and then spraying the other side. That was caused a little bit of a problem because, well, it added to the process. I had to wait for one surface to dry before I could get onto the next surface. So I devised this little thing here. Quite simple. Base of a piece of timber and some wire bent in this sort of shape. And these pieces of wire can be forced inwards so that they now can contract, or sorry, so they can expand into that hole there. And now I can hold that like so and spray it. And I can spray not only the underside there like so, but I can spray the top. Now this is a little holder for my spray gun, made out of a piece of PVC pipe, and it is cut like so to accommodate my spray gun, like that. Now you'll notice that there's a hole down in here, that hole there, and that's simply there to put a screwdriver through so that I can actually screw that. There's a screw in there, there's a couple of screws in there so that I can actually screw it on to that bench or that table. Now they're just some of the things that I use to help hold the work while I'm spraying, and what you end up using is obviously going to be dependent on what you are spraying, the types of things that you are making. Hope it's been helpful. There is going to be another episode in this series of spraying, and that's going to look at some troubleshooting, some problems that might arise when we're spraying, whether it be blooming, whether it be bubbles, whether it be runs, whether it be any number of other things. So stay tuned to that. Happy spraying, and just remember, I wasn't wearing a mask for the videoing purposes, but any spray lacquer has got solvents in it that are dangerous to your health, so wear a mask.